All right, Coach, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to start off, first of all, just congrats to the football team on their incredible accomplishment. That's pretty sweet. And then also want to wish volleyball, good luck as they get ready for Texas in their Sweet 16 match.
All right, go ahead, Alex.
Darren, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. I'm curious, just we haven't, I guess, talked to you before the last couple of games, but when you look back at the Minnesota Louisville games, it seemed like they really tried to be physical with Lamar and Tucker, especially on the perimeter with catches. And I know you mentioned a couple of times like back cuts and different kind of reactions, things you can do to kind of relieve some of that pressure. But how much of an emphasis has that been like in practice leading up to this part of the schedule in terms of just figuring out some counters when the defenses maybe are a little bit more aggressive and trying to overplay those guys?
Yeah, we did spend a lot of time. I thought the Minnesota game for us offensively was, something that, we had to learn from, and it wasn't just the movement, it's the combination of everything we had going, just from being a little stagnant. Yeah, they got into us. They didn't allow us the freedom to, go as we wanted to freely, so it was more about how do we set better screens? How do we set up those screens, both Lamar and Tucker, so that they're coming off a little cleaner? So I thought it was good for us. I thought even in the Louisville game, they were very aggressive early, but I thought as the game went on, we were able to get guys free and we were able to get those looks. So I thought we made a really good step there. And then I thought, again, the other night, I thought we were able to kind of get away and get some guys some free catches and looks. So we'll continue to focus on that. We know they're going to see a lot of attention. There's going to be some physicality to it, and we just got to continue to find ways to get them loose.
Daniel, then Trevor.
Yeah, just on Reed and Sam, is that kind of spot in the lineup that you think might, change week to week? And when you went back and watched Reed, it kind of seemed like he was playing a kind of inspired brand of ball. How much of that was just kind of not starting, and just kind of what do you think clicked for him? Sorry.
No,
Yeah, that went.
I thought Reed played, very well. Whether it was not starting that contributed to it, nobody knows for sure. But I did think he played pretty loose and free and aggressive, very confident. So that was good to see from that standpoint. Like I told Sam and Reed, it was more just, hey, we're going to try and shake it up a little bit, see if what that looks like for us, and like everything, nothing's permanent ever, but if it's working, we'll continue to stay with it.
Trevor, then Mike.
Yeah, how important is this Kentucky series and just having it year to year coming up? And do you have any memories about the IU Kentucky series in the past?
Yeah, I think it's a great series. I hope we can continue this forever, and we got, this is the first year of a 4-game stretch. So I think it's great for both programs. I think it's great for college basketball. I think it's something that, certainly, both our programs are excited about, and I know both our fan bases are excited about. These are great non-conference games that, we want to be a part of and want to play. And, I think my only memory probably is the game winner, however many years ago that was. But I remember watching that one on TV myself. So that was a pretty exciting call. I was even visiting with Dick Vitale. I think he had the game the last time that on that game that shot. I think he had the call for that game.
Mike, and then Alec.
Hey, Coach, going back to the Sam and Reed topic, I'm curious as you start to face some of these teams like Kentucky and Big Ten teams that have a ton of size and maybe have multiple bigs on the floor sometimes. What's your thought process on pros and cons of playing them together right now?
I think for us, yeah, we've done it some, and in the summer and the fall, we've done it a little bit in some of the preseason games. The biggest challenge for us is just depth. We don't have a third big right now that we can put in there. If there's foul trouble or whatever, so it's hard for us to give them many minutes together. It's something we would love to be able to explore and do a little bit more of, but right now it's just the lack of bodies to be able to sub and keep them fresh and productive, and then the foul trouble piece as well.
Alec, then Jeff.
Yeah, Darren, with Kentucky specifically, looks like they're still kind of trying to form some sort of an identity offensively, but five guys come in with double figures, have some versatility there on the perimeter. Just what about them really kind of sticks out to you when they are clicking on all cylinders?
I think the biggest thing for them when you look at the games they've played well, they've scored easily. The games they've struggled, they just haven't shot it very well, and they have a good shooting team. When you look at their stats from last year, percentages and things, some of the guys just haven't shot it as well. And I'm sure as the season goes on, those numbers will start to come back to the norm. It's just they've had some games where that hasn't been the case. So. Incredibly talented, gifted offensive team, and they can hurt you in a lot of ways. And that three-point shooting, if you start to add that to it, then they become really scary.
Jeff and then Zach Browning.
Yeah, hey coach. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that Tatum. He obviously his numbers are pretty good. He has some really good moments, some great passes. He also sometimes looks like gets just a tad loose with the ball. Just sort of what do you see? And is there like another level that he can reach as far as consistency game to game with those things?
I think Tatum's, continuing to get better and better on the things we're asking him to do, and he's someone that, for us to be really good, we need him to be good because he's that dynamic paint toucher. He's got the speed and athleticism to, get downhill when teams are, out and pressuring us and be able to go finish at the rim and create for others. So I think he's continuing to grow into that role and learning, how to be, both a scorer and a facilitator. So we're excited about where that can continue to grow into. I thought he had a really good floor game the other night against Penn State. He for the most part really took care of the ball, made things easier for our scorers and shooters, and made some really good decisions out of some of the ball screen actions we had.
Thanks,
Zach
man.
and then Seth.
Hey, coach, how often on a game-to-game, play-by-play offensive basis do you find yourself calling set plays for the team versus letting the guys get into their freelance sets and stuff like that? Are there specific moments where you feel it's important that you take over kind of the offensive play calling?
Yeah, it's a little bit of just the flow of the game. Like Lamar the other night. Typically on misses we just play, and it'll be fairly freelance, and they're just playing out of their concepts on when the other team makes it. That's when we'll run a lot of our quick hitters and things. But even the other night, off of some of the misses, we went into some quick hitters so that we made sure that we could keep Lamar going and try to give him every opportunity to ride that streak out. So. That's kind of how I typically do it is go off of what's happening within the game. Whether we feel like, hey, we've had a couple empty possessions, even if they do miss, maybe we got to make sure we get something really good and quality possession for us.
Seth and then Zach.
Yeah, Darren, this is the second true road game for you guys. Obviously, it didn't go your way up at Minnesota. Do you feel like the road environment contributed to that at all? And I guess what do you need to do to handle that differently against Kentucky?
Yeah, I think you just never know until the first time you get on the road. We have a whole new group, so that didn't go the way we wanted it to. But it's something that when you go on the road, you got to have a very tough-minded mindset, and make sure that your group is really connected on, all the details and little things that you need to do to be successful, on any game, but specifically when you're on the road. And we just didn't do a lot of those things when we were at Minnesota. There was just a lot of little things that added up to, the outcome that we got. So I think our guys understand that. I think we also understand, the things we need to do to be more successful, this time around.
Zach and then Alex.
Darren, I'm not actually sure if we've asked you a ton about this, but you were talking about the Kentucky series earlier, and I know with 20 conference games, sort of non-conference scheduling formulas have become a little bit more maybe narrowly tailored or refined. But I'm just curious, like, if there are things that you sort of look at from a non-conference scheduling perspective and you say, we need this, every year, whether it's true road games, whether it's, neutral site games like Marquette, whether it's kind of pursuing maybe, MTE events and neutral site events like in the Bahamas, like, are there Are there things about sort of your formula for putting that non-conference schedule together that you consider non-negotiables as much as you can year to year?
I wouldn't say non-negotiables. I just think you gotta find some of those marquee games and quality opponents to get you ready for Big Ten play. I think that's number one. You want to get on the road. You want to get at home. Neutral site games, they're all good. The neutral site games give you conference tournament feel. They also give you potential postseason feel. So those are all types of games that we want to be a part of and play in. There's also, a lot of other variables with you got to have some home games, for, everything from, your fans, your budget, everything, those type of things. That's why I also think you're going to see a lot more of those neutral site games as you move forward too, for that reason.
Last question, Alex.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Nick Dorn has continued to kind of look more comfortable as he's gotten and more into the flow of things. The other night, even saw him kind of go off the dribble and go to the rim. What maybe? How do you see his role evolving? Maybe as he continues to get more comfortable, and I mean, can having him out there with Tucker and Lamar maybe help relieve some of that pressure on those guys to score as well?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're spot on there. Just his role, you can see he's getting more comfortable, getting those game legs, getting in shape there. So I've been very happy with what he's been able to do in this short period of time here as he's come back. So he's someone that we certainly, feel like can come in and give us that spark, be able to change a game. As you said, when you have a Lamar and a Tucker out there and you're getting maybe their primary defenders are on them, now you get Nick and you're able to find him some opportunities and freedom. And I think you saw that both in the Louisville game and in the Penn State game. I thought he came in the Louisville game late, was able to give us a fighting chance late. And then the Penn State game again, able to give us a nice little burst. And especially in the second half there, I thought he had a nice little run fairly late in the game. But still, you can see some of the production that he's able to provide.
Thanks, Coach. See you guys Saturday.